evening. Welcome everybody to this edition of TV47's Weekend Edition. My name is Kyallo. So glad to have you here. Of course, joining us tonight. I hope you had a fantastic day. Well, we're here to make sure, of course, we end it strong. Well, I hope that you're well, you're warm. As you can see, we are here at work to make sure, of course, you are well informed. And of course, we have the top stories of the day, but we also have our discussion on Say What. And tonight, we're handling something very, very sensitive. I put it up on my social media earlier, and I've gotten quite a huge, amount of, messages, feedback with regard to this specific topic. It's about abusive behavior in relationships. How do you tell the red flags, the telltale signs? And I have my lovely guests over here. Hi, ladies. We, of course, have the lovely Pastor Sue Salimiana.
Wow. This is going to be the best topic ever.
Asante.
We are talking with real issues and real matters that really are in the society.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to have you.
We can't wait. And we also have Doreen Kata, who's also going to be joining us for this discussion. And we have you. Make sure, of course, you participate. Let's start the show with the highlights. Emerua Dikir MP among 6 people killed in a chopper crash in Mosop, Nandi County. Tonight, we give you a snippet on Ngeno's final hours. A section of Kenyans already bearing the brunt of the US and Israel attack on Iran as Kenya Airways cancels flights to the United Arab Emirates, citing uncertainty over the situation. Oginga ODM-led faction tells President William Ruto to his face that they will go for nothing short of the deputy president's seat.
ODM itasimamisha viongozi kutoka MCA paka deputy president. President ndio bado tunazungumza kwa sababu baba alikufa na alituacha kwa President William Ruto.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Our sign language anchor is Catherine Simeloy. We begin with some devastating news. And police say Emurua Dikir, Member of Parliament Johana is among 6 people who perished after a helicopter crashed in Chepkiep, Mosop constituency, Nandi County. Now, the lawmaker and his aides were on board when the aircraft attempted an emergency landing before bursting into flames. Emergency response teams remain at the scene as investigations begin. Senator Samson Cherargei and the Tinderet Member of Parliament Julius Melly have arrived at the crash site, accompanied by officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. Police are expected to move the bodies to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital morgue shortly. Authorities say investigations are underway to establish the cause of the crash, which has left the nation in shock. Well, still on that, Emurua Dikir, Member of Parliament Johana had shared his flight on the chopper that would claim his life this morning. But how was his last hours before the chopper crash? Tony Kwalanda has more.
On his socials, the Emurua Dikir lawmaker shared a video of his chopper trip Saturday morning. In the background, a gospel song played, and I quote, "Bado na kuhitaji." Hours later, it is this same chopper that would claim his life and 5 others. He had used the aircraft to join families of the late Senior Chief Ole Rurumo and Ole Kipembeu, alongside search and rescue teams at Mararianta, to help retrieve the bodies of 2 young men swept away by the raging Mara River. In his post, Ngeno urged the public to remain vigilant during the rainy season, especially around flooded rivers and roads. Later, he flew to Cap Kugo, to Luop Koni, Ndebes, where he joined friends, fans and fellow leaders in celebrating artist Kim's 35th anniversary in the music industry. He shared videos of the festivities, including one of a man enjoying the party. Earlier in the day, he had posted clips of 2 other public engagements, handing over bursary checks to beneficiaries in Ilekerin ward and presiding over another event at Changina. Just days before, he had shared a heartfelt video celebrating his wife's birthday, captioned, and I quote, "Happy birthday to the love of my life, Obot Chesang, live long," end of quote. Ngeno was serving his 3rd term in Parliament, a career cut short in a tragic accident that stunned the nation.
Quite sad. Life indeed is so fragile. Well, we pray for strength for his family at this point, and may he rest in peace. Now, Kenyans, the people you elected to represent you at the Senate, are reportedly not showing up for work. Chronic absenteeism has crippled the House, with Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot revealing that out of 127 sittings, only 6 attained quorum. Well, Speaker Amason Kingi has already lamented that 48 sessions were adjourned due to lack of attendance, warning that the Senate is failing in its constitutional duty. Liz Matuku with more.
For the second day in a row, senators were warned to take their job seriously as absenteeism continues to cripple the Senate ability to deliver on its constitutional mandate.
We must improve quorum discipline in attendance and quorum compliance, both in plenary and in committees.
Seemingly taking cue from Speaker Amason Kingi, who decried absenteeism after 48 sittings were adjourned, Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheruiyot painted a grim picture of a scenario that borders on being chronic.
By achieving quorum means it's 2:30 and people are seated at the exact time which the House needs to begin. We're only able to achieve it 5% of the times. Only 5%, which is 6 sessions out of 127.
The impact of the absenteeism seen in delayed legislation, which infringes upon Kenyans' right to representation.
17 were referred to the Senate by the National Assembly, were referred back rather. 12 are still at the National Assembly in various stages.
And in what could be seen as classical case of pot calling the kettle black, senators were up in arms after Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe and Treasury PS Chris Kiptoo failed to show up in day 2 of the retreat that was meant to focus on agriculture and Kenya's physical outlook.
He should adjust that attitude.
Ever since he was elevated to be minister, I think he's been to the House only once. And he has made it a habit to miss all our events.
Kagwe sent Livestock PS Jonathan Mweke in his place, sparking backlash as senators complained that critical questions on crops and food security went unanswered. Mweke, who oversees livestock, they say was unable to comprehensively address agriculture at large, further aggravating frustrations.
We capture all these questions, package them, and do a letter to the CS for the CS to appear before the whole House or the relevant committee to discuss.
Kiptoo's failure to appear further aggravated frustrations, with senators issuing final warning that continued defiance of summons will attract serious consequences. As the Senate retreat session comes to an end today, the much awaited is to see if the clarion call on oversight and taking oversight seriously will be attained in the coming sessions. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Naivasha.
Now, the spotlight is once again on Nairobi's perennial drainage nightmare. Residents say their pleas for safer infrastructure have long been ignored, and now a family is clinging to hope after their 16-year-old son was swept away by raging flood waters. Faith Wangari joined John Wambua's search and rescue efforts and now files this report. Take a look.
Tonight, a family clinging on hope. Over 24 hours after their king was swept away by raging floodwaters, they get to find closure. A 16-year-old John Wambua reportedly drowned after he was swept away by the first region floodwaters. According to witnesses, the minor was on his way to a football game when he slipped and was carried off by the raging waters. His friend, who was accompanying him to a football match, recounted the terrifying moment, saying the desperate calls for help he will never forget.
Ila kanrushia mkono, nikajaribu kufikia mkono wake lakini akapita mbio, akaanguka kwa fola hapo, nikazunguka hivi kuja kumfuata, baada akaanguka kwa fola ya pili, hapo after hiyo fola ya pili ndo nikaona akinua tu mkono.
Residents alongside emergency responders have been searching the area since morning. However, by 4 p.m, there were no signs of success, according to officials from the Kenya Red Cross Society.
Whenever water turns occur, body gets trapped there. So beyond this, we are not conducting any more search.
The government on the receiving end, as the residents say, the pleas to have the dam area ring fence has fallen on deaf ears.
Some are not even dying here, some are dumped here. Even if there is no water like this, you can find a body here, which means somebody can be killed outside and they are being brought here.
They're now appealing to the authorities and well-wishers to intensify such efforts as they hold on to hope for his safe recovery.
Hatuko ashua kama hapa kwa maji anaweza kuwa tu alinjiokoa, anaweza kuwa hosi mahali hatujui, bado tunaendelea tu na process ya kumtafuta.
In the rise of a heavy downflow in the country, there have been many cases of bad drainages and catastrophes like what we experienced yesterday. A 16-year-old John Mutuku lost his life tragically in this dam outlet behind me. What is the government doing to address issues like this to ensure that the drainage in the country is dealt with? Faith Wangari for TV47.
Thanks, Faith, for that. Now, tonight, united opposition leaders are intensifying their campaign trail, warning that irregular issuance of Kenyan passports to foreign nationals could plunge the country into chaos ahead of next year's general elections. From Nyahururu to Nakuru to Kiambu, the leaders alleged that the government is using passports and IDs unlawfully to manipulate the electoral process. Now, they demanded an immediate halt to the issuance, calling it a plot to rig the polls.
Opposition leaders led by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, George Natembeya and Justin Muturi called on the government to immediately halt the issuance of passports, alleging it a plot to rig the upcoming polls.
Amepeana passport kwa wauni ambao wanaua halaiki.
Wamefungua mpaka wa Kenya na Somalia. Wanaanza kupeana vitambulisho kwa watu wasio wa Kenya.
For the second consecutive day while in Nakuru, the opposition also criticized the Social Health Authority for inefficiencies, opposed privatization of key government agencies, and demanded the immediate absorption of junior secondary school interns into permanent terms.
Ameharibu masomo, ameharibu matibabu, ameharibu uchumi, ameharibu biashara, ameuza mali yetu. Tukimalizana na wewe tarehe 10 mwaka ujao mwezi wa 8 tutakupeleka kotini urudishiwe Kenya ile mali yote ambayo umepora.
In Kiambu County, the People Liberation Party leader Martha Karua linked senior government officials to the alleged irregular issuance of Kenyan passports to foreign nationals, terming it a scandal and an insult to the country's dignity. She demanded explanation from the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, questioning how foreigners acquired Kenyan nationality before being issued passports.
The question I want to ask him, looking at him without glasses, are you selling Kenyan citizenship, Dr. Ruto? If so, you have desecrated that office.
Karua urged the National Intelligence Service to clarify whether vetting procedures were conducted, vowing that opposition leaders will pursue all legal and constitutional avenues to safeguard the integrity of the Kenyan citizenship.
We will take all avenues that are there, and one of them is in the court of public opinion.
The opposition rallies continues tomorrow in Nyeri County, with leaders promising to keep pressing the government on accountability. Mike Kyallo, TV47.
Now tonight, the Orange Democratic Party, ODM, has raised the stakes in its bid for the deputy president's seat after Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed told President William Ruto to his face that ODM is leaving nothing to chance to secure the running mate slot in next year's general election. Junet, who spoke during the Thanksgiving service for Principal Secretary for Justice, Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs, Judith Pereno, graced by President William Ruto, said ODM is negotiating for all slots except the presidency. Apollo Kamau tells us more.
ODM push to get the running mate slot in next year's general election gained momentum during the Thanksgiving ceremony for Principal Secretary, Justice, Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs Judith Pereno in Mashuri, Kajiado County. ODM Director of Elections and Suna East MP Junet Mohammed saying ODM is leaving nothing to chance in the forthcoming negotiations to get all the slots, including the Deputy President's slot, except the President's docket.
But ODM itasimamisha viongozi kutoka MCA paka Deputy President. President ndio bado tunazungumza kwa sababu baba alikufa na alituacha kwa President William Ruto. Sasa hapo sijapata mtu ya kusimama bado. Hii watu wanarukaruka ndani ya town, hakuna pale unaweza enda, atashinda asubuhi na mapema.
Mnasemaje?
President Ruto moving in to defend the anticipated deal, saying it's geared towards uniting the country amid questions on how ODM and UDA will share seats in next year's presidential poll.
Kuna tofauti mkubwa kati ya UDA, ODM ya broad-based na wale majamaa wengine. Sisi tunaamini katika umoja wa taifa letu la Kenya. Sisi hatuna ukabila na hatuna chuki na hatuna ubaguzi. Wale wengine mnawasikia lugha yao. Nyinyi wa Masai, nyinyi wa Kikuyu, nyinyi wa Kisii, sijui nyinyi wa Hindi.
With Kajiado's development agenda in focus, Judith Pereno's home county, President Ruto promised the construction of Imaroro, Mashuru Isara Road at a cost of 2.7 billion shillings and a further 28 billion shillings for affordable housing units, while praising Pereno for breaking barriers on women leadership.
I am so grateful to you. The day has come today. We are here to give thanks to God. We are here to give thanks to you. And this day has come, but I know Baba's spirit is here.
ODM's clamor for the DP slot leaves President Ruto in a dilemma amid pressure from Mount Kenya leaders in what could be a costly decision in next year's poll. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
Tonight, missiles and gunfire in Iran are sending shockwaves thousands of miles away, grounding flights, leaving stranded passengers. Kenya Airways has cancelled flights to Dubai and Sharjah after the UAE shut its airspace as tensions escalate following US and Israeli strikes on Iran and retaliatory attacks across the Gulf.
As gunfire rents the air in Iran, the ripple effect is already being felt thousands of miles away in Kenya. Passengers stranded at airports in Nairobi and Mombasa after Kenya's largest carrier, Kenya Airways, cancelled its flights to Dubai and Sharjah due to a closure in the UAE airspace. Some of those we spoke to say the delay in flights could lead to massive job losses.
Unajua Qatar kuna bosses wengi. So unapata boss, kuna huyu boss mwenye ni concerned. Kisha akikuuliza maswali nini, ukimuelezea elewi.
The only challenge that I have is from my job. Yeah, so my managers, I have to text them or email them. And they won't respond today until tomorrow. And I'm supposed to resume my work in the Monday morning. I don't know how my manager is going to respond towards my flight or anything. So, affects on.
US President Donald Trump has confirmed that the US has launched major combat operations in Iran. Trump's remarks indicate that the US is pushing for the destruction of Iran's war machine and regime change.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
The chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahamoud Ali Yusuf, expressed deep concern over the strikes, warning that further escalation could worsen global instability, affecting energy markets, food security, and economic resilience, particularly in Africa. Back home, Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Dr. Korir Sing'oei says Nairobi is closely monitoring the situation, urging Kenyans in the region to exercise caution as tensions continue to disrupt normal operations.
So, now we had some problems here for the flight to Dubai because of the war in Iran and the Arab region. So we tried to rebook the flight, and this was here a little bit nightmare.
Police in Nairobi are investigating a violent incident that occurred early this morning at the Rabita Masjid Mosque in Westlands after a middle-aged man allegedly attacked worshippers with a machete moments before morning prayers. Now, 3 Muslim faithfuls sustained serious injuries in the incident, which happened shortly before 6 a.m. The suspect, believed to be a dual citizen of Kenya and Canada, was subdued by congregants at the mosque, preventing him from attacking more people before the anti-terror police unit arrived at the scene. Munene John with the details.
The early morning calm at the Rabita Masjid Mosque in Westlands was shattered when a man reportedly gained access to the premises minutes before the scheduled dawn prayers. The suspect, believed to be of the Kenyan-Canadian nationality, drove in the mosque's compound with this black vehicle, walked in and locked the doors from inside, attacking 3 people who were there with the machete, leaving them seriously injured.
He went behind him and closed the doors, and after that he removed a panga. So he started attacking the Muslims, the people who are praying. According to congregants, the suspect had been attending prayers at the mosque for the past 3 months and was well known to the regular worshippers. They say he would usually arrive on foot or by motorcycle. However, on the day of the attack, he reportedly arrived in a black Toyota Harrier, a detail that raised concern among those familiar with this routine.
Tumesikia ni vibaya, tumesikitika, ni mwezi mtukufu na tunaomba Mwenyezi Mungu atuepushe na mambo kama haya.
Preliminary information suggests the motive may be linked to an incident several weeks ago where the suspect allegedly had his phone snatched at the mosque's entrance. Officers from the anti-terrorism police unit moved swiftly to arrest the suspect and impounded his vehicle as part of the ongoing probe. The case has since been handed over to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Kilimani Division, which says thorough investigations are underway to establish whether this was an act of revenge.
Police responded and arrested the man, who is currently in our custody. Investigations have since commenced, and the DCI have taken over the matter.
Authorities have assured the public that security has been heightened and there is no immediate threat to places of worship. Munene John, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, so we just want to turn our focus back to one of the top stories that we had for you earlier tonight. And police say Muruwa Dikir Member of Parliament Johana is among 6 people who perished after a helicopter crashed in Chepkiep Mosop constituency, Nandi County. Now, of course, the lawmaker and his aides were on board when the aircraft attempted an emergency landing before bursting into flames. Emergency response teams remain at the scene as investigations begin. And we understand that right now we actually have Samuel Mukusi, who's the Nandi County commander, to tell us more about this incident. Let's listen in. Right, we do apologize for that, but of course that is Samuel Mukusi, who we understand has confirmed this particular incident, confirming the death of Johana Ngeno. Let's now move on to our sporting action tonight. All right, now, Football Kenya Federation Machakos County branch unveiled the Irene Danu Soccer Summit, a far-reaching grassroots football initiative to engage 480 teams and close to 9,600 players across all 40 wards of Machakos County. Now, the event was launched in a ceremony presided over by FKF President Hussein Mohammed, and it combines a structured countrywide tournament with governance and development reforms aimed at strengthening the foundation of the game. Now, the competition will progress from ward level to county finals, creating an inclusive and clearly defined pathway for emerging players, coaches and administrators, while reinforcing the Federation's commitment to organize grassroots football.
About 20 million Kenyan shillings for one county. It's a very vast county, over 40 wards, which will be touched by football directly. The fact that this tournament will involve both boys and girls makes it very attractive for us to be able to use it as a platform to nurture talent and to establish a foundation for future generations in terms of them representing not only their localities but also the national team.
A commitment to talent, to structure, and to the future of our youth. In Machakos County, the level of talent among our young men and women is extraordinary. What has been missing is not potential. What has been missing is platform, exposure, and systems. Across the 40 wards of Machakos County, there are thousands of talented young boys and girls with extraordinary potential.
All right, so we want to take a short commercial break, but remember, of course, we're coming back with our topic of the night, and I know we are all looking forward to say what. That's coming up shortly. Don't go away. We'll be right back.